Hello, everyone. My name is Gibson Giroux, and my purpose of doing this audio video is to point out specifically how my good friend and brother Mamadee Diakite is dead wrong about his claims he made against uh, Senator-elect George Weah. I'll go straight to the point, and I'm not going to belabor the issue. There are 5 points that Mr. Diakite raised in our chat room today. He said Mr. George Weah has deficiency and stopped at that. He didn't elaborate what kind of deficiency that he's talking about. And then the second point is he said Mr. Weah is chronically inept in governance politics. Now, for those of us who play with words, when we say chronically inept, it means badly inept. And now, if you define the word inept, it means different things. It depends on who is looking at the word and what kind of definition you want to run with. So, when I define inept, I saw a bunch of synonyms. Some of them include foolish, incapable, deficient, and all of that. So it is my choice, since Mr. Mamadee Diakite did not explain to us what he means by Mr. Weah is inept. So I can choose which definition to ascribe to this word. So a lot of people might agree with me that I can say, okay, Mr. Mamadee Diakite is saying that Mr. Weah is foolish. It is incumbent upon Mr. Weah, Mr. Diakite, to come back and tell us what his definition of inept is. His third point is that Mr. Weah is inconsistent. And I'm particularly concerned about this word. Inconsistency means you flip-flop. And I want to know how Mr. Weah flip-flops. Because it is very important that a man who is a journalist, who is a talk show host, will lead the audience into a path of misunderstanding and disunderstanding. It is very key in our political culture, in our communication culture, that talk show hosts and journalists will be more explicit in the expressions that they use on the radio and on the TV, what they write in the newspaper or on the internet. So I'm confused when you say Mr. Weah is inconsistent. So we will come back to that later. The fourth point he raised said Mr. Weah's professed education is not felt in his speech. Now again, it brings me back to how Mr. Diakite understands what education is all about. I suppose he is of the opinion that people who are educated must be fluent speaker, must be adept speaker. But we have so many examples around the world where people have doctorate degrees, master's degree, and they cannot express themselves as much as people expect them to be. These people, they write. Some of them are they conceptualize ideas. Some of these people galvanize. They have the ability to galvanize people, to put people together, to move a mountain. So if Mr. Weah's education will be graded by his inability to speak the English the way Mr. Mamadee Diakite wants him to speak the English, then I am baffled that we have a situation where our journalists, our talk show hosts are now thriving on mediocrity. And mediocrity in the press is one of the key problems that we have had in Liberia. We have people who think that they know better than everybody in the public, but at the same time, they do not present the best brain that Liberia can boast of in terms of journalism. They are not the best in terms of logically, people who propound logical issues. So I'm really baffled about my friend saying that Mr. Weah education is not comparable to or comparison to his speech. I want the brother to elaborate. He hasn't elaborated. I want to know if by speaking good English in any way can help Mr. Weah to go into that house and tell his staff to write a bill and present it before his friends. Does Mr. Weah have to speak the Queen's language to the best of his ability before he can represent the people and champion their cause? If that is what Mr. Mamadee Diakite is saying, then we have yet to explain to ourselves why we have people like Mamadee Diakite on the radio bombarding our ears and propounding ideas that are very foreign to educated people. The last point Mr. Diakite raised, he said Mr. Weah has no performance record in political governance leadership. Now, logically, if you look at this, if there are 2 points he divided into, 1 point he divided into 2. Point number 2 says Mr. Weah is chronically inept in governance politics. Now, take the word governance politics. Then he comes back and say Mr. Weah has no performance record in political governance leadership. So governance leadership and governance politics is just the same thing. So I don't know how my friend is playing with the words, and he is successful in fooling some of the people some of the time. Unfortunately, he cannot fool all of the people all of the time. So let's backtrack and come back to the first issue. Mr. Weah is deficient. Alright, I'm not going to address this. It looks stupid to me for anybody to say that the man is deficient without telling me what kind of deficiency we're talking about. It is unfortunate that we can describe people in a so vague manner and go on the radio and pretend to lead people into understanding what we are saying. I cannot, as a journalist, for 25 years of my experience, I cannot write and say somebody is deficient and leave it at that. I want to explain that. Is this man unable to talk to people in his party? Is this man unable to write his name? Is this man unable to bring people together under one leadership roof? Is this man, what is the deficiency we are talking about? It is vague. And I would like to engage with my friend. I have already put up a challenge for the debate in audio and writing, because first of all, what I want to do for Mr. Mamadee Diakite is to prove that Mamadee Diakite does not control the Queen's language. I want to prove to him that he's not a better writer and he cannot criticize anybody on the on language. I want to prove that, and I started proving it already. He has already written the first paragraph, and I have already pointed out his problem. He does not proofread his writing. He has superfluous in his writing. His syntaxes are not connective. So I want to prove to the reading public that Mr. Diakite does not possess what he thinks he has to write the Queen's language. The other part of it is I'm going to engage Mr. Diakite in a verbal debate. We're going to talk. We're going to see who speaks the English. We're going to see who understands the English. We're going to see who has words to his fingertip, and at the same time make it possible for the listeners to understand you and grab sense and logic from it. So these are the 2 ways I'm going to handle this debate. So I'm just going to the second point. Mr. Weah is chronically inept in governance politics. I am baffled. How can a man who says he knows better will by any means write on international media or Facebook and go on the radio station and say that Mr. Weah has no experience in governance politics? Mr. Diakite, I must tell you that when somebody establishes a political party and lead that political party for even a year, that is governance politics. The word governance politics that you are stealing has been misused by yourself. This man has led a political party for close to 11 years. This political party is the strongest, the fiercest, the most populous opposition political party we have in our nation. There are other political parties that have been established. Those who establish those political parties did not exhibit the leadership capability to hold these parties intact. Those parties disintegrated. Those parties broke apart. And today we can only hear about them by history. They are no longer in existence. We talk about the likes of United People's Party. Look at the shadow of this party. Look at ADP headed by Dr. Tobana Tibote. We thought that if education matters in administration, we think that Mr. Tobana Tibote party will be one of the most organized, most fiercest, most resolute, more consistent. But no, that is not it, because there is no proven record that leadership is tied to someone's education. So Mr. Weah hosts a party, he leads a party. Yes, people leave the party and people come to the party. And people will always do that, because in political, even in the great United States, people cross carpets. People leave one party and go to another party. People in other parties vote for another party. I've seen Democrats vote for Republican because of certain reasons. I see Republican vote for. In fact, Obama has been able to woo a lot of Republican voters, but those people are not Democrats. Maybe we can say that the Republican leadership, they are also uneducated, because people leave the party to go and vote for the Democratic Party. And that's the kind of logic that Mr. Mamadee Diakite wants us to accept. That because people leave the party and people are clamoring for anything at all in the party, so Mr. Weah is not a leader. I find it very difficult. If this party has broken down, if the party was blown into the abyss of history and no longer in existence, then we can say Mr. Weah is not a leader, because the political party that he was leading, that political party is broken down. So that's a governance system. But by the way, Mr. Weah has just served recently as peace ambassador. We saw the level of organization he put in place that brought different personalities from around the world, sports personalities and other personalities, African personality came down to Monrovia. How can we say that this man has no experience in governance politics when he is able to bring people from far and near to participate in something that he has planned, in a program that he's heading? This is fallacy. And I want to prove Mr. Diakite wrong. I want you to go further and tell me what kind of political or what kind of governance policy that he's referring to that Mr. Weah hasn't participated in. Oh, wait a minute. I know what he's talking about. He's talking about Mr. Weah should have been a cabinet minister. Maybe he should have been a director general. Maybe a managing director. Or maybe he should have been a senator or representative or a mayor. Then Mr. Mamadee Diakite will believe that Mr. Weah has participated in governance politics. No, it doesn't work like that. People do not grade people like that in governance politics. There are little things. In fact, governance itself is defined as administration. In fact, that's one of the key synonyms of governance. So, to make it much easier and simpler for people who do not understand big words, we say he is saying that Mr. Weah has never been in administration. Is that true? That's false. So if we look at Mr. Weah's track record, even from the days he was head of our sports administration, maybe not, let me not say sports administration, maybe let me just say Lone Star. When he was leading the Lone Star, that is an administrative position that he held. He held people together. He harnessed that unity. He was able to lead the people to a point where we all landed into the World Cup. And whatever went wrong, yes, things go wrong. All leaders around the world make mistakes. And Weah is not an exception. But I want my friend Mr. Diakite to tell me, and be very specific, what kind of governance politics that he expects Mr. Weah to have assumed before he can run for office in the House of Senate. In fact, I am baffled also that Mr. Diakite would think, and unfortunately too, that he would think that running for the House of Senate, it requires someone being a minister or a director of some sort. No. People go into that Senate and the House of Representatives when your people believe that you are able to voice out their concern. And that concern is what the people believe that Weah is capable of doing. Let me go further. Apparently, some people don't know how people work in the Senate. Every senator has staff. Those staff are the ones who actually do the work for the Senate. Those are the people who do the research. Those are the people who write the bill that this senator is going to introduce to his colleagues. Those are the people who write the concept of any law. Those are the people who help the senator to run his office. Weah doesn't have to argue anything. All Weah needs to do is to get competent people in his office, and those people will piece together good laws and put it before, and he can put it before his colleagues. Those things that he will circulate to his colleagues can serve as argument by themselves. If Weah goes to Senate and doing section and say, hey, all of you have in your hands a copy of the bill that I'm asking you to join me to pass. Let's say education bill. And this is the education bill in your hand. If you look at it, it's self-explanatory. But I'm asking you to support me in this bill. Weah has spoken. He does not need to go into details. The people in the Senate, they have the prerogative to examine that bill. Weah does not have to prove anything. The point of the matter is, he has submitted a piece of document that he can use. So that is why I am baffled that my friend has misused those words. Then he comes back and says, and this is the part that beat my imagination. He said, Weah is inconsistent. Weah is inconsistent. Listen to that. Who in Liberia will speak like Mamadee Diakite and say, Mr. George Mane Weah is inconsistent? This is the most consistent man that Liberia has ever produced. When the consistency, as we know it to be, is your ability to keep pace. Let's start from his athletic skills. From Claratown to the Borja Field, to the Anthony Tottenham Stadium, to West African shows, to West African fields, to France, to Europe, and everywhere else. Weah has gone from one step to another steadily, consistently. He has never dwindled one day. To the extent that Weah is the only individual in the world that consistently performed, that he won all awards that soccer has ever offered. That's consistency. Okay, Mamadee Diakite doesn't want anything about soccer. So let me come to the political part of it. Weah has been the leader of the political party. Now, one of the attributes of Weah is the ability to listen. When Weah was standard bearer in 2005 of the Congress for Democratic Change, and that party lost, and in fact, there are indications that he was cheated. Now, I'm not giving the credence, but I'm not even ruling it out as well. Weah was told, or Weah was requested by stakeholders of his party, sir, we beg your indulgence that you step back as VP and let's put someone in front to be our presidential candidate. And this man said, well, if it is your will, you are the one that I'm leading. If it is your will that I step back and put someone in front of me, I will listen to you and let's try that route. And they tried and failed. And they came back to Weah and said, sir, we thought you were the problem, but you are not the problem. So we want you to lead our party as you have been doing. And for the past 10 years, Weah has consistently led this political party. He has continued to hold his political party intact. He has continued to spend his personal resources. He has never wavered. He has never cried. He has never begged anybody for anything. He has never gone to the government to ask the government for help. He has never stolen government money. He has never done. So what kind of consistency that Mamadee Diakite is expecting from Mr. George Weah? I'll stop here for part 1. I will come back with part 2, and I hope Mamadee Diakite will be willing to debate me tonight on the Facebook with writing. I want to see how much he writes. What is the depth of his language expression? Then we'll go to audio, and then we will debate the issue on the radio, and I'll pay if I have to. Thank you very much for listening to me, and I appreciate your time.